Got a big day ahead of us today. This will be the first time I've played a cash game since the Foxwoods vlog, which, if you've been counting, you know was more than 2 weeks ago at this point. I did play some tournaments at the Baltimore WSOP circuit event, as you probably know, but I didn't play any cash during that time. No luck there either, so I am looking forward to getting back on the cash game grind. Just a casual cash game over at MGM National Harbor. Fixed blind structure, blinds will not be going up unless I decide to straddle, which I might. By the way, a good friend of mine, Chris, just moved to the area, not in Maryland. He's technically living in Virginia. He's very close to MGM National Harbor. So we're gonna meet up today for some dinner and then I'll go play my session. So hopefully I'll get him to say hi to the vlog. I tried last time and managed to not actually record when he visited, so my bad on that one. Let's fix it this time. Successfully made it to Virginia. We're eating at a Chili's, and I have no idea if Chris is here yet or not, but he says he's lives 5 minutes away, so we can just hang out, watch the clouds go by. Just kidding, he's already here. No clouds will be watched. Oh, it's windy as hell. That's Chris.
Hello.
Okay. Sweet. That wasn't awkward at all. Alright, so are you coming back later?
It's possible.
It's possible. How many hours did you play today?
50. Oh, today?
Today.
9.5.
9.5 hours today, over 50 hours this week. Just moved. Won't take a break.
Don't need to.
Don't need to. What a sicko. Where's your car? Are you right here?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I actually kind of wondered. I was like, this looks like a car he might drive.
The Ohio plates give away.
Oh my god. I don't know why I didn't put that together. That's terrible. I'm an idiot. Later. Nice little quick catch up with Chris there. And now I'm just driving to MGM, gonna get in a game. Probably just gonna play 1-3. I am gonna be playing most of the summer in Vegas. So I would love to, you know, kind of minimize variance leading up to that and see what we can make happen.
Christopher has awesome.
So as expected, I still didn't manage to record every hand, but I got more of them the last time, I think. So let's just go over some of them now. The shirt didn't bring me a whole lot of luck in the session, but I felt luckier wearing it, I guess. I don't know, maybe next time. In this first hand, middle position opens $15, and I make it $45 in cutoff with ace-king offsuit. Middle position is the only caller. We go heads up to a flop of 9-5-2 rainbow, and he open shoves for $70. Now, there are definitely some hands that people might do this with that we are ahead of. But I think most of the time people are going to have a pair here. And in particular, this player was opening pretty tight pre-flop, so I didn't expect to be that far ahead when he calls the 3-bet. And I definitely don't think he's just the kind of person to open shove ace queen or ace jack here. So I just fold. I let it go.
David C for Big O. David C.
In this next hand, there are 3 limpers. I'm in the small blind with ace 10 of hearts, and I make it $20 to go. This is 1-3, by the way. I don't remember if I said that before. 2 of the limpers call, and we go 3-way to a flop. The flop is 5-3-2 rainbow, and we basically whiff. We do have a gut shot, but not a whole lot else going on. I decided to check mostly because even though this won't hit people's continuing ranges that much, I'm basically never getting folds from pocket pairs, and this wasn't a very aggressive table, so I expect I'm sometimes going to be able to see the turn for free, and that is what ends up happening. It checks through. The turn is the king of hearts, which means it's a full Badoogie board. No flushes will be possible in this hand. I decide that this card hits my range well enough that I should just bet. There's definitely some hands like King Queen and King Jack that these players might limp in with pre-flop and then, just check back the flop. But kind of in that same category of hands, there's a bunch of other hands that do not connect with the king, and I can easily have ace king and king queen here a lot. And I still have the gut shot to back me up. And I do also think that any ace or 10, any ace is probably going to be good. A 10 might sometimes be good if I get called here. But I actually think when they check back the flop, probably nobody really has a pocket pair. Like, they would just bet once I check. I go ahead and bet $30, and they both quickly fold. And I take that one down.
Playing catch up. Yeah. Charging up. What were you playing?
In this next hand, there's a raise from under the gun +1 to $13. There's 4 callers, and I'm in the big blind with 10-9 of hearts. I overcall. The flop is ace 10 deuce with 2 hearts. Pretty big flop for this hand, and I expect that while the 10 is not usually going to be good against the field, the flush draw probably will be. Unless specifically the pre-flop raiser has something like King Queen or King Jack of hearts. But we're ahead of those hands anyway, so we're in pretty good shape here usually. There's a small twist when the small blind leads for $35. I could raise here, but I decide to just call, mostly because the pre-flop raiser is still behind me to act, and he could easily have a very strong hand here, and I don't want to raise and potentially get committed or have to raise fold. I kind of just want to call, keep the pot a little bit smaller, and see what's going to happen. Everyone else ends up folding, and the turn is the Jack of Diamonds, which is really not a good card. I think anything that the small blind could have been leading with that we were beating before is probably now ahead of us. Things like King, Queen, Queen Jack, and King Jack of hearts are all now beating us, and I don't think there's really any worse hands that he would bet the flop with. He checks, and we kind of have an option here between betting and checking. I have talked this hand over with a couple people at this point, and at the time my thought process was that this player most likely had something like a weak ace and wouldn't fold to a bet, but I think if I bet really big, it looks like I have to have something pretty good that weak ace is not beating, and so it's probably going to be successful a decent amount of time. But here I ended up checking back. The river is the 2 of spades, so we missed the flush draw. We just have a pair of 10s. And the small blind now leads for 105, which is a pretty big bet. I thought this one over a while because his sizing seemed a little bit inconsistent with what I thought he had on the flop, which normally weighs me more to thinking that people have some kind of missed draw. However, the problem with that is that most people would either just continue here with on the turn. They'd continue on the turn with their bluffs, and on the river, they're either not going to bluff that big, or they're just going to check with their ace-x hands. So it almost feels like he improved on the river, like has ace-2 specifically. I did end up folding. I wasn't happy about it, but I think at the end of the day, you kind of have to.
What are you doing here? I need that, sir. I would wait until it's
In this next hand, the button actually open limps, folds around all the way to the button, and he just limps in. It's a chop blocker. I'm in the big blind with jack 10 of clubs, and I just check my option. I think I could go for a raise here. I am probably ahead, barely, his open limping range on the button, but I also don't mind just playing some flops and going from there. The flop comes King 10 8 rainbow, and we have second pair and some backdoors going on. I decide to check. The button bets $15 and I call. The turn is the 6 of spades, which brings a backdoor flush draw, and we both check. The river comes the 6 of clubs, which pairs the card on the turn. I decided to lead for $20 because I think almost every single King X hand would have bet on the turn if it bet on the flop, and there's just not that many other hands that could really be ahead of me. He calls, and my hand is good. Take another one down. A player who's been opening a lot of hands raises in middle position to $20 over a limp. I am next to act with pocket jacks, and I make it $80 to go. It's a little bit big. I've also been 3-betting him a fair bit. He's been folding for the most part, actually, but when he hasn't folded he's been folding on the flop. So he calls, and we go heads up to the flop. The flop is Queen 10 6 with 2 spades, and he now open jams for $287. Not an ideal situation. Really unhappy when I see him do this. I'm initially kind of right away thinking that it might be some kind of a drawing hand that has a ton of equity, but doesn't want to face a bet. It could also be some kind of a Queen X hand that is, trying to protect and doesn't want to figure out what to do on the flop and the turn if he's facing bets. But I think I made a pretty bad decision here. I ended up calling. I just don't think we beat enough of his hands. And when you actually look at what my 3-bet range is here, there's a lot more hands I can call with that are better to call with than jacks. I might have ace queen suited here. I definitely have queens plus. I definitely have tens. So jacks is pretty much the bottom of my 3-bet range here, aside from like ace king. And ace king is probably technically better to call with because I likely have more outs. So I do call, and he ends up having pocket kings. Embarrassingly, I thought I had the jack of spades, and the board runs out with 2 spades. I looked back at my hand, and I did not have a spade, so that was a little bit unfortunate. We lose that one.
All right, good game, guys. Take it easy.
Alright, just wrapping up the session. I thought I had a bunch of footage with Chris, but again, somehow I managed to not quite be recording when I thought I was. Part of it's the mode I was recording in, or trying to. Don't want to go over the hands right now. It's pretty late. It's like after 2:30 in the morning, and I've been here since like 8 p.m. Session did not go well. In for 11, out for 264. So we book -8 something. Book -8 something or other. What's math? 836. -836. So not ideal. Chris did well. Chris was in for 12, out for 2,300. So he's plus 1,100 on the day. So that's cool. He's on a little bit of a heater lately. I am not. So tomorrow's gonna be a vlog working day and a call to parents day because it's Mother's Day. Next few days after that, probably gonna try to get in a lot of work hours, but I would also like to be putting in some more cash game hours before Vegas. Not much to say at this point, so I'll go over the hands in a little bit, and I will talk to you guys soon.